Who'd you vote for today?
I voted for Kamala Harris.
Why is that?
I have 3 daughters, 4 children overall, and women's rights is pretty important to them and my daughters. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional about that. I didn't think that I was going to do that, but just their bodies, their choice type of a mentality. I want them to grow up in a world that's welcoming to everybody. That's why I cast my vote today.
It is someone or some group of people who are far left radical activists really trying to destroy the fabric of our country by attacking every main freedom and liberty that we have enshrined in our Constitution. And so plus just the instability around the world. I mean, we're on the brink of World War III with the Middle East and with Russia. So I just think that, and not to mention China and Taiwan, I mean, there's just so much that could go wrong in the world.
Oh boy, we're so excited for Kamala Harris. Yes. We can't wait. Kamala Harris! Kamala Harris! Yeah! Free migrants for everyone! Every house is getting a Somali, right? Yeah, can't wait. Haitians, how many Haitians do you want, sir? Who wants to pay for more countries? You ready? Yeah, let's do it. Let's do it. How was the bus ride? Guys, why aren't you cheering? I don't understand. You seem glum. You seem reluctant to support the policies of your own candidate.
If you don't have freedom of speech, you don't have democracy. Okay, because if you don't have freedom of speech, people cannot make an informed vote. If they're just being fed propaganda, and there's no freedom of speech, democracy is an illusion. So freedom of speech is the bedrock of democracy. That's why freedom of speech is the First Amendment. Once you lose freedom of speech, you lose democracy. Game over. That's why I vote.
I think we need to push back on this. There's no guarantee to free speech on misinformation or hate speech, and especially around our democracy.
And I think the dislike of and anguish over social media is just growing and growing and growing. And it's part of our problem, particularly in democracies, in terms of building consensus around any issue. It's really hard to govern today. You can't, there's no, the referees we used to have to determine what's a fact and what isn't a fact have kind of, been eviscerated to a certain degree. And people self-select where they go for their news or for their information. And then you just get into a vicious cycle. So it's really, really hard, much harder to build consensus today than at any time in the 45, 50 years I've been involved in this. And there's a lot of discussion now about how you curb those entities in order to guarantee that you're going to have, some accountability on facts, et cetera. But look, if people go to only one source and the source they go to is sick and, has an agenda and they're putting out disinformation, our First Amendment stands as a major block to the ability to be able to just, hammer it out of existence. So what we need is to win the ground, win the right to govern by hopefully having, winning enough votes that you're free to be able to implement change. Now, obviously, there are some people in our country who are prepared to implement change in other ways, and so that's really dangerous.
You're questioning really if democracy can survive unregulated social media.
I think democracies are very challenged right now, and have not proven they can move fast enough or big enough to deal with the challenges that we are facing. And to me, that is part of what this race, this election is all about. Will we break the fever in the United States?
Well, I'll say it again, man. I think this is the last election. If Trump doesn't win, this is the last election.
I think you're right.
Yeah.
I think you're right. I think people, and a lot of people are waking up and realize that have been lifelong Democrats. Guys like Bill Ackman, guys like Chamath.
Yeah, exactly.
Tulsi Gabbard switched over to the Republicans. Yep. Like, there's a lot of people who their whole life they've been left-wing and they realize, like, I can't do this anymore.
You and I used to be Democrats.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's nuts.
It's nuts, man. And if the Dems win this election, they will legalize enough illegals to turn the swing states, and everywhere will be like California. There will be no escape.
That is so insane.
This is the final This is it. This is the last chance.
Has anybody tried
And
to
I
push
just want to
back?
go out and vote. Vote like your life depends on it. Vote like your future depends on it, because it does. This is the last chance, man.
Okay.
Do you have any plans to visit the border?
I'm here in Guatemala today. At some point, we are going to the border. We've been to the border. So this whole thing about the border, we've been to the border. We've been to the border.
You haven't been to the border.
And I haven't been to Europe. And I don't understand the point that you're making. How are you doing? Have you voted already?
Give me a second.
You did. Thank you. Thank you so very much. It's so important that everybody participates, and I thank you, because I'm sure you got a lot of other things you could be doing. Taking the time to vote really does make a difference. So thank you for that. Hey, Max. Well, I want a door knock.
Oh, you want to do a door knock?
Yeah, come on. Okay. Here, I'm gonna.
I had your hat on the Penn State game in front of 111,000 people all day Saturday.
Thank you guys. Okay, come on. Thank you all.
Guys, to the right, please.
It is?
First vote. Yes. Tomorrow morning.
A CNN exit poll has just dropped. It says about 3/4 of voters hold negative views of the way things are going in the United States. Does that surprise you?
Not at all. I mean, in the last 4 years, we've had estimates as high as 20 million illegal aliens flood our country, increasing crime in almost every city, murders. Plus, you couple that with inflation here. We've had pretty significant inflation. I mean, most things cost almost 50% higher now than they did 4 years ago. And so people really just recognize that leadership under Democrats is just not good for America. We're not as safe. We're not as prosperous.
Can you describe to us just how important the issue of the border is where you are?
Well, I think that the issue of the border is important no matter where you are, but certainly here in Texas, and of course I spend a lot of time down near the border, and I can tell you that along the actual border, it's extraordinarily dangerous. I mean, when you just have that many people flooding across, totally unvetted, we don't know who they are, all kinds of criminals. It's overwhelming the resources of these small towns along the border. But then, of course, they're being bussed and flown all over the country. They're in every major city. You've probably seen in New York City, they're putting them up in nice hotels, and we have NGOs here just funneling cash to them and really putting them on a fast track to getting legal status in this country, which of course will lead to 20 million new Democrat voters. So all of this is a premeditated attack on the United States by the Democrat Party. And I think what we're going to see at the close of polls today is an overwhelming rejection of that.
If Donald Trump is not elected, if he's not the 47th president of the United States, what are your predictions? What do you expect will happen?
Well, God help us all if he's not the president.